Animation is without a doubt one of the most popular genres in the film industry. Beloved by kids, adults, and everyone in between, they are some of the year's most successful films. But despite the amount of time it takes to animate these films, sometimes mistakes inevitably are made and make it into the final cut. We can't fault the animators too hard. They do amazing work. But once we see them, we can't unsee these mistakes that ended up in the film nonetheless. Before we count them down, though, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Can you guess the hit animated feature based off of these emoji? Stay tuned to find out.
There's...
Oh, here you went, you little Dickens!
Zootopia. Zootopia was a huge hit for Disney, not only getting heaps of critical praise and great earnings at the box office, but the film also won Best Animated Picture at the 2017 Academy Awards. How's that for bragging rights? But despite all the praise and the power of the Mouse House behind it, some animation mistakes inevitably made their way into the final cut. The film follows Lieutenant Judy Hopps, valedictorian and parking duty officer for the local police department. On her first day, though, she ends up getting hustled by none other than Nick Wilde and his associate Finnick. And so the movie begins. Judy lives in a pretty dingy apartment, but it's in this apartment where we get two mistakes in the same sequence. Judy tosses her notebook next to her alarm clock after a terrible day. Thing is, that alarm clock was on the windowsill in the previous scene in the apartment. The notebook actually disappears between shots, making us wonder if her apartment is actually haunted by some kind of poltergeist. Needless to say, we think the animators definitely weren't as focused on the details in this scene, but we won't fault them for it. They still made an awesome movie.
Cleveland? I hear good things about Cleveland. Why do you want to go?
Because if I stay here, I'm gonna get released back to the ocean.
Finding Dory. Finding Nemo still ranks as one of Pixar's top films, so it's a bit surprising it took that long to come up with a sequel. Better late than never, we guess. In 2016, we got to team up with Nemo, Marlin, and Dory yet again in Finding Dory, which saw the forgetful Blue Tang star in her own film. Dory's adventure sees her searching for her own family this time around, and they head towards California, which causes Dory to remember key moments of her past. She eventually ends up captured by a wildlife preserve, though, and meets up with the extra grouchy Hank the local octopus, minus one tentacle. With the help of Hank's Spider-Man-like abilities, Dory is able to navigate the hallways and rooms of the institution looking for clues. It's here where we get a bizarre animation mistake. While navigating the hallway, Hank sees that a person is coming down it in their direction. As he hides, we get a good look down the hallway in question. Despite being pretty unimpressive in the previous shots, there's a sudden water fountain that magically appears in the next shot. Nestled between two pictures, the fountain clearly wasn't that important to the employees.
I interrupted from the top. Hero of men. Go.
Moana. We still have the music from Moana stuck in our heads, but that's not a bad thing. It was really good after all. But despite how fun and charming that film was, we can't help but notice some animation mistakes that made its way into the final cut. Of course, we try not to let this ruin our enjoyment of the film, but sometimes we just can't help it. Moana's animation was straight up gorgeous, especially the water animation. The ocean has never looked more alive in the animation genre. But despite the level of attention that went into designing it and other aspects of ancient Polynesia, it's the simplest thing we often forget. When Moana heads into the cave and discovers the ancient ships lying dormant, an animation mistake actually happens right under your nose. Ever catch it? When we first see the ship she walks on, the beach is bare, except for the sand obviously, but cut back to a shot of the shoreline and a sudden rock has appeared on the beach. Perhaps there's actually a giant crab that moved in between shots, but we're gonna chalk this one up to two different sets having been animated and spliced together.
I'm gonna need some alone time.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Batman: The Killing Joke. Many keep on forgetting, but animation isn't limited to family-friendly material. True, those films are the most popular and often earn their respective studios a boatload of money, but there are some great animated films out there that are tailored for a more mature audience. Take Batman: The Killing Joke, for example. Based on the insanely popular graphic novel of the same name, written by Alan Moore no less, The Killing Joke sees the Dark Knight go up against the Joker at his most cruel and twisted, to the point where he may have actually broke Batman. The film adaptation made some changes though, and those were very polarizing amongst fans. One such was the romantic relationship between Batman and Batgirl. But now there's another reason to not be as lukewarm about these scenes, as there is, in fact, an animation mistake. During the scene where these two, get together, Batman's hands actually move locations between shots. Perhaps the animators hadn't decided what Batman should be doing in the moment, but it's clear that there were multiple ideas about where it should go. What are your thoughts on the animated version's inclusion of a romance between Batman and Batgirl? Let us know.
Plankton is your enemy! So is he an anemone or plankton?
The SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. A lot of us grew with SpongeBob SquarePants and regularly reference him and his antics to this day. Heck, many moments from the beloved TV series are popular memes and GIFs to this day. The franchise was insanely popular, to the point where it even got a few big screen films, most recently in 2015, Sponge Out of Water. The film focuses in on the Krusty Krab and its main competition, the Chum Bucket, which is run by Plankton. SpongeBob, a fry cook at the Krusty Krab, has been guarding the secret to the Krabby Patties from Plankton for years now. Naturally, since this is a SpongeBob feature, all manner of mayhem ensues and we have ourselves quite the adventure. During the film, SpongeBob and his crew find themselves stranded on Pelican Island. Due to being a nervous individual, Squidward ends up releasing some ink into the ground as a result of his condition. In need of some ink, SpongeBob uses it for his pen, which, if you think about it, it's pretty gross. But in the following shot, all of that ink somehow magically vanished. We don't think SpongeBob used that much ink in his message. If he did, that would have been an impressive letter.
Hi, I'm Brown Charlie. Barney Clown.
The Peanuts movie. The Peanuts movie might be a bit more underrated than most of the other films on this list, but it was still a critical and commercial success and is one of the more charming films in recent memory, offering some great nostalgia for fans of Snoopy and Charlie Brown. The film's plot was actually a heck of a lot simpler than most animated films in recent memory. It revolved around Charlie Brown trying to get noticed by the new girl in class while also learning to stand up for himself and break out of his shell a bit. But as we all know, Charlie Brown is a bit of a blockhead, but that's why we like him so much. One of the subplots in the film came with Snoopy writing his own story, which in turn we got to see acted out as a World War I flying ace spectacle. As he drafts his story, he gives his pages to Woodstock to get his opinion. Woodstock proceeds to chuck the pages into the trash, though. As this goes on, though, Charlie Brown runs into the shot from the front of the house. When he approaches Snoopy, all the papers and trash have magically disappeared from the shot. We don't think Woodstock has the strength to fly away with them.
Hello, I am Baymax, your personal healthcare companion.
Big Hero 6. Where's our Big Hero 6 sequel? We know we're getting a TV series on Disney XD, but we want more Baymax on the big screen. We loved this Marvel-like adaptation that Disney produced back in 2015, which featured a young yet highly intelligent boy team up with his brother's robot, Baymax, in a quest to save the world. Spoilers, if you haven't seen Big Hero 6 by now, what are you waiting for? In the film, a terrible accident leaves our young protagonist, Hero, without his brother. The two of them would spend a lot of time together at the local university, where Hero's brother, Tadashi, has been working in the same field as Professor Callahan. Early on, the professor asks Hero if he can see some of his microbots. In the first shot, we see him wearing a blue shirt over his vest. Cut to the close-up, and Hero hands over his creation to the professor's outstretched arm. There's a problem, though. The shirt is now red. Furthermore, when we cut back to the wide shot, Callahan's shirt is blue again. It's likely the animators mixed up the character models in this scene, as Callahan can be seen wearing a red shirt a few scenes later after Hero's demonstration.
How will I ever find anyone else who knows how to fill me up with gas? Adios, Chuck.
Cars. Cars 3 raced into theaters earlier this summer and was seen by many fans and critics as a step up from the notorious Cars 2. The film, created by Pixar yet again, centers on Lightning McQueen, the 7-time Piston Cup champion, and his newfound rivalry with an up-and-coming hotshot named Jackson Storm. Due to Storm's cutting-edge technology, a lot of the older cars like Lightning are finding themselves outdated and unimportant to the scene. You can bet we'll have something on Cars 3 when it hits video, but for now we're going to take a step back and look at Cars 1. The film has a pretty unusual yet funny scene with Lightning and his friend Mater ending up tipping some tractors, which would be the car's equivalent of cow tipping. In the scene, Mater sneaks up on some sleeping tractors and scares them awake, causing them to end up springing backwards, resulting in their engines facing the sky. There's a problem here, though. We see Mater flip 2 tractors before we get a wide shot where he gets the whole field. In that shot, the two tractors that are already up are nowhere to be seen. Chances are they didn't just drive away, so where'd they go?
This is awkward. Not you're awkward, but just because I'm awkward. You're gorgeous. Wait, what?
Frozen. Frozen is one of the biggest films in recent memory, so of course we had to include it on our list. The film was full of great and memorable characters, nice twists, and a cool play on Disney's own conventions. It also had some catchy tunes that we still can't help hum every now and again. What? We can't help it. In the film, Elsa kind of puts the kingdom in deep, 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 deep snow, and it's up to her sister Anna to save the day. By this point, we're all pretty familiar with the hair animation goof, which saw Elsa's hair pass directly through her shoulder. Now, that's a pretty huge mistake, but we know you know that one. So here's one you may not be as familiar with. At one point in the film, Hans and his guards end up at Elsa's ice castle and encounter the terrifying snow monster known as Marshmallow. Wasting no time, he knocks two guards aside and into a snow mound, but there's clearly nothing around them aside from snow upon impact. We cut away for a few moments as the guards notice Elsa at the castle door. When we return to the two guards on the snow, there's a sudden crossbow bolt just lying there, ready to be used. Well, that sure is convenient. So there you have it, everyone. Which animation mistake is the most troublesome for you? Will you end up seeing it every time you watch the film like us, or can you look past these kinds of mistakes? What's the mistake that gets under your skin the most? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to like this video and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and of course the answer to our emoji question is, thanks for playing.